This iPhone is the best iPhone ever. Yeah, no joke. If it wasn't the best, then why would anyone buy it? But for real though, the iPhone 14 Pro just released, and this is my review. If you're looking for an iPhone 14 regular review, here it is. Just get an iPhone 13 Pro used, or pony up for the iPhone 14 Pro, or get a Pixel 7 Pro, because the changes are a lot. If you're looking for an iPhone 14 Pro review, let's start with the always-on display. I love it. Unlike other always-on displays, this one looks like you just dim the brightness of the display. The usefulness of the info at a glance is, without using a lot of battery life, is incredible. I don't know how your iPhone peeps paid $1,000 for a phone without this feature. Now, the only problem with this is that the contrast may be too low for some people with bad eyes, and if you thought you could get around this by setting a different home screen, in iOS 16, the home screen and the lock screen wallpapers are the same, at least unless if you're in Do Not Disturb. But still, I would recommend this feature, but I wish that we had a customizable notification light like on the old Xperia phones or old Samsung phones. Plus, it would use even less battery than the already battery-sipping display. Right now, I'd be paying $75 for this feature. Next is crash detection. So here we have a car we are about to... Oh, not enough budget?
Yes, no budget.
Due to a lack of funding.
You spent all your money on a Sony A7C. Video coming later. Subscribe to the channel.
Due to lack of funding, this part of the video got cancelled. This feature cannot be tested ethically for what should be obvious reasons, but the fact that this feature exists is pretty nice, but I'm only paying $50 for it, especially since this feature can be triggered in a roller coaster. Yeah, that literally has happened. I know. Now, I find reviewing the dynamic island a bit difficult because not all of the APIs have been released. And it's a bit difficult to review a half-baked feature. But as I say, review a feature for how it is, not how it can be. So let's see how the dynamic island is. It's useful for some stuff, but less useful for others. For example, the screen recording feature is extremely helpful, but other features like the podcasts, you can just pull down the notification shade, and it's probably faster too, because guess what? Instead of the logical step of tapping the island to bring up the widget and a hold to open the app, it's vice versa. Ridiculous! Besides, we also have a problem with anyone who uploads a video greater than 16:9 aspect ratios getting a fake notch in the video, which can be annoying. As the dynamic island stands, I would pay $75 for it. But if the APIs actually have used, I'd pay $150. Now what's left? Photo and video. Now I'm extremely watering this down here because I could speak on this for hours, and maybe I'll do a deep dive if we get a good response on this. But until then, here's a short one. The iPhone has gotten a new camera sensor on the main camera and some minor tweaks on the telephoto and ultra-wide. The main camera now has a 48 megapixel sensor compared to the old camera that had 12 megapixels. This is basically the difference between the photo resolution of the A7S III and the A1. Now, you may be worried about low light performance, but the thing is that in the new phones, the sensor size has also increasing the pixel size and decreasing the noise at higher ISOs. The greater megapixels don't actually help that much though. This is because the highest resolution you will get out of ever experience is going to be 4K, which if you don't know is 12 megapixels or so. And Apple even knows this. That's why when you export a JPEG, it only gives you 12 megapixels. But if you export RAW and you go into the settings to change it to 48 megapixel mode, you see how they're hiding that. You can get a 48 megapixel file. Only problem with this 48 megapixel file is that it takes up 70 megabytes of storage, which is a lot. And if you're a cropping fan, which the only thing high resolution sensors are actually useful for, you can use a virtual 2x camera, which is a 12 megapixel crop of the center pixels of the main camera. But you will not see the difference in sharpness on JPEGs. Plus the fact that the phone's cameras still don't have lens caps or lens hoods, and will inevitably get camera smears on the lenses because, well, the camera bump is massive, you're not going to get perfectly sharp photos. And in reality, optical imperfections on the sensor will reduce the amount of effective resolution you'll see, even though you are physically having a 48 megapixel file. The problem to get these 48 megapixel files is the aforementioned 70 megabytes of storage, which means in less than a month, my phone already has 30 gigabytes worth of photos on it. Therefore, I would recommend spending an extra $100 to get the 256 gig model, as it allows you to use ProRes as well at 4K. But why are the sensors not on all the cameras? Then I could crop it on the telephoto to get a 6x lens, or give us a zoom lens like on the Xperia 1 Mark IV that would allow us to change the focal length without loss of quality. I mean, it would take up a lot of space and be incredibly expensive, but hey, Apple already does that. Otherwise, not much has changed for photos. In video, the bigger sensor also helps with low light, but the action mode I find underwhelming. This is because using the ultra-wide camera, or main camera, it does improve stabilization, but most times you don't need enormous stabilization on short focal lengths. Like here on my A7C, if it's in the 10mm focal length mode, the sensor barely moves when the camera shakes. But if I put the sensor stabilization at 1000 millimeters, it looks like it's having a party with all that shaking. Action mode does not help squat when it comes to the 2x or 3x lens, which I rely on, and defeats the purpose of this mode. And if there's any semblance of low light, this thing will give you a low light warning. What cameras rely on is a proper design with a viewfinder, increasing stability and making handling easier. But no phone can do this without being the size of your car. Again, we see compromise as for the 4K cinematic mode. That's nice if you want to crop it and not lose any quality, but if you don't crop, there will be no difference. Unless if you are viewing on a TV or a 1440p monitor, then there will be a difference. But most people don't view stuff on anything but their phone, and most people don't have phones that could show you 4K images, and even if they did, they'd have to be a Hawkeye in order to see the difference. And constantly say, that's not sharp. I also wish that we had 8K recording, because we could do that. Literally, we do have enough size out on the 1x lens, enough megapixels in order to crop it, in order to have an 8K resolution. As much as it would eat your file sizes up, it's still possible. I wish that actually happened, because that would be nice, because then I could crop in 2x to get a 4K image without having to frame it pre-hand. That's why photographers like higher resolutions, so that they can crop in later and they don't have to get the framing perfectly right and just fix it in post. Now, when the subject moves, that also makes this a greater problem, because, well, you're not expected to make sure that your thing is perfectly in frame when you're photographing running horses, for example. Either way, as much as I may be angry at some of the features on this camera, it still is the best camera under $1,000 with incredible versatility. Battery life is good for now, but doing demanding stuff like playing games or taking photos, it falls off a cliff. Next is the software, which introduces head-scratching coma in the listener because of that Apple knows best mentality. Yeah! First, why can't I put my apps where I can actually reach them? So that, when I'm operating the phone one-handed, I don't have to do some finger gymnastics. And the software has grown apart from the hardware. For example, why are all of my back buttons in the top left? How am I supposed to reach that when my hands are the size of an average person's hands? I don't have huge Shaq hands. I have regular Zeph hands. For me, I just fill my screen up with widgets to solve this problem, but I wish I didn't have to do that, because the widgets I don't really use. Whereas the app library in iOS is not growing on me, because in Android, which I used to use, you could just swipe up and you get your app library. But on the iOS, you have to go to the final page, swipe left, and then you'll get to their app library. Now, Apple pretty much killed their own keyboard as well, and then decided to kill SwiftKey. Haptics keyboards is nice, but we've had this on Android with more customizability for literally ever. The thing that suffers most is the camera app, which still does not allow you to change white balance or keep it the same during a video, which can make your image look like poop and make your faces turn blue and yellow in the middle of recording. It's fascinating that I have to go and install a paid app to get the control I want. At the end of the day, iPhone was still meant to be easy to use and easy to master. And as much as I have many criticisms of the software, the iPhone 14 Pro has helped both the power user and the everyday man, and it's applaudable. Thank you for watching, and if you want to watch more, you can look at this video explaining megapixels and subscribe. Either way, as I usually say, have a great day, have a great week. I'm Zeph, this is JC Tech, and goodbye. Also, my LaCroix says goodbye.
ASMR, dude.
Refreshing.